talking about, in part, this study by Wall Street 24/7, the worst states in America, ranking worst states in America for Black Americans across 8 metrices. And we mentioned we went through Wisconsin being the worst state ranked by Wall Street 24/7. Illinois is the 4th worst state. Listen to these data points.
Okay.
Median household income in Illinois for black families, $46,000, I'm rounding. For whites, $85,000, $40,000 spread. Home ownership rate, 40% for blacks in Illinois, 74% for whites. Unemployment rate, nearly 14% for blacks, 5% for whites. And by the way, as you heard Mike Scott reporting, Illinois overall the second highest unemployment rate in the country. But it's a record job growth. It's an economic dynamo, so we hear from Jelly Belly and company. So that's not great. Where's that equity I hear so much about? And I'm sorry, who's been in charge of Illinois for how long? Who's been in charge of Chicago for how long?
Almost 100 years, right?
Yeah. And it's not going to get any better, not with the end of the tax credit scholarship program that we're disproportionately benefiting minority families to give them the same choices that wealthier honkies in the suburbs have. And one of those who benefited from the tax credit scholarship program is a substitute teacher and the mother of twin boys. She's a substitute teacher in the Chicago system. Her name is Tracy Smith, and she joins us now. Tracy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me this morning. How's everyone doing?
Good. Good to have you with us. And so just, I guess, give us the trajectory of your experience with the tax credit scholarship program and helping to provide choice with your boys' education and where things stand with your boys today.
Okay, we'll do. Well, back in 2017, the tax credit scholarship was first implemented as a 5-year pilot program. First year was about approximately 17% students that it affected. It has grown to over 51%. We already have over 9,700 students that was receiving a tax credit scholarship this year, with 26,000 on a wait list. In 2022, we were instrumental with gaining a great projection in the House when we initiated Bill 4126, which gave a super priority, which meant if you got it last year, as long as you meet the guidelines, you would get it again automatically, which took the guesswork out. And then if not, then you would get a partial scholarship to make sure that we were basically allowing that funding. It's unfortunate that over these years, my children and I and so many other constituents from the Resurrection Project, every school has went to Springfield advocated to our legislators, our representatives in person, by phone, by email, and it is disgruntled that our legislators have let our children and our families down. You know, back when Obama was president, they asked the question on the back of the ballot, is education a right or is it a privilege? Overwhelmingly said it's a right. If it's a right, it should be protected by the Constitution. We have our 2-year, 4-year universities, private, public. We have our different classes of schools from Montessori to charter to public and CPS and private. So why can we not fund this particular institute that is so viable to our community, especially where it helps the Black and brown students? The tax credit scholarship has also helped the Jewish community, the Muslim community, the Caucasian community, but it effectively, overwhelmingly affects our Black and brown community because it reaches it allows our families to reach its fullest potential, and it counters inequity in schools.
Right.
Now, Bill 4126, it's funny how we can't come together, but one of my sons, I have twins, the other one is up now, Alexander Smith, did research and found the statistics for the 4126 bill.
In the House of Representatives, it passed 114 votes to 0 votes in opposition, and through the Illinois Senate, 55 votes to 0 votes in opposition. So it meant that both political parties understood the importance of education and its impact it has on the youth of today.
Yeah, but Tracy and your son, thank you so much for joining us too. But in your heart of hearts, why do you think lawmakers took away this program?
Well, let's take, for instance, let's look at our House Speaker Welch. Welch called the tax credit scholarship a voucher program. The definition, and if you look at the law, says a voucher program distributes public funds collected from compulsory taxes. The tax credit scholarship is voluntary donation given privately.
Right.
Now, in Illinois, we have so many sectors that we give tax credits to. We give it to our Go Green. We give it to our fuel tax. We give it to infrastructure. Now, this is my son Christopher who did his research, and this is what he doesn't understand.
In addition to those industries, we also have the movie-making industry and the film industry, which is prominently large in the Midwest, with Illinois being the most funded state from the movie-making and film industry. And the funny thing is, they have a production tax credit, which gives the filmmaking industry a 30% tax credit in Illinois.
So why can't we not fund? Why does it have to be a monopoly? It's against our Constitution to have a monopoly of only one class system. We have to build a equal level of opportunity for all, to be inclusive and to be in a bargaining state.
Where are Alex and Christopher in school now? Are they done?
We're seniors at Marist High School.
Oh, Marist. Oh, very good. Bennett's a little bit better, but Marist isn't bad.
We also have a GPA. My GPA is an average of 4.2.
And my GPA is an average of 4.26.
We have maintained being on the dean's list for 3 years at Marist High School, soon entering our 4th year at Marist High School.
Yeah,
we are members of the National Honor Society
and soon to be members of the French National Honor Society.
The French National Honor Society.
Yes, French for 4 years and no parlez-vous français.
That doesn't surprise me. I had a feeling that those were going to turn out to be a couple of good students based on the research they regaled us with. But that's good. So even without the tax credit scholarships, your kids are still able to finish their education where they wanted to.
Well, the school stepped in, and a lot of
private
donors once again gave, because we have even more students at Marist that receive the tax credit scholarship that needs that funding as well. Like I said, this tax credit scholarship has impacted over 9,700, over 33,000 families.
Right. So here's going back to Chris Welch and Don Harmon, the Senate president. They both send their kids to private school.
They sure did.
Or Harmon did, past tense Ignatius, and Welch's Timothy Christian. And I mean, what do you think the real reason is, particularly since you're in the Chicago public school system as a substitute teacher? I mean, Chris Welch is not confused about voucher versus tax credit. He's not confused.
But look at the statement he made.
No,
the statement was misleading and misconstrued.
No, I know, but you know that he's not confused about it. This is.
Oh, I know. He's trying to confuse everybody else.
This is a cover story. Not to mention, oh, by the way, even if it was a voucher program, vouchers are constitutional under a 2003 Supreme Court decision. So it's really an immaterial argument. So what's the real reason, particularly the minority legislators in the House and the Senate, and also at the direction of Governor Pritzker, because that's who told Welch to kill it. What's the real motivation here, do you think?
I believe it has to do with funding. I believe that it has to do with teachers not being paid the salaries that they need, bargaining at the table, not receiving the benefits that they're promised.
Which teachers not being paid the salaries they need? Where?
Well, any teacher.
Any teacher? Chicago public school teachers are the highest paid teachers in the country.
Who?
Chicago public school teachers are the highest paid teachers adjusted for cost of living in the country. Right now, before the $50 billion that Stacey Davis Gates wants.
Okay.
So I mean, my question is,
backdoor politics that's being done.
Right. Well, who's being served? Who's being served by killing the program? Somebody's being served.
Exactly, and that's what we need to bring light to. Why is there such pushback and opposition when we have been down to Springfield and confronted our constituents and our legislators and asked them why not? And they'll say, well, this is the first time we see you. We've been coming down here year after year, month after month. How can you say we are not here to see you?
Why do they have to see you? Why do they have to even
show up?
Why do they have to see you to act in your interests?
That's a question for them. My question to the voters are, why are we keeping them in office?
Yeah, well, that's a good question too, isn't it? I mean,
Why are we keeping them in office?
What do you hear?
To make it public. We did a march from the School of Bohemia.
Mm-hmm.
All the students in there, over 75% of the students at that school received a tax credit scholarship. We did a rally to the senator's office, who went in the back and refused to come out to see us,
Mm-hmm.
and said, explain to the faces that are out here why you will not support this program.
The idea of talking to legislators, going down to Springfield or going to their district office, do you get the feeling that you're being beat up in a back alley, that the only thing that they really respond to is public pressure that puts their seat in jeopardy, and that they need to be publicly called out and publicly ridiculed in a relentless fashion as toadies for an establishment that is disenfranchising black families from opportunities in a way that they just haven't been to this point?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's why we go to social media, where we're constantly dispelling and being myth busters about it,
Mm-hmm.
because they dispel the wrong information, the incorrect. We need to tell who and what they are voting on and voting for. So when we go to the voting polls, we go inform people, because they're supposed to be the voice of the people, not the voice of their constituents or backdoor politics that's being made to benefit a select number.
Did your boys go to St. Sabina before Marist?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
They graduated. In fact, one of my sons, my youngest twin, Christopher, graduated salutatorian. That was there that they learned the arts program. That the Marist School of Music and Chicago Jazz Philharmonic was where they learned music. And when they went to Marist, they were able to join the band because of this platform that was laid. They learned about scouting there.
what instrument?
They're doing that Eco project right now, and always have been on the principal scholar straight A's all the way through.
What instruments they play?
They play the
flute and the violin. I play the piano, and my brother plays the guitar.
I want to go to your house.
Well, I mean, there's you got a couple of Renaissance men in that household. I don't play the violin. I never learned to play an instrument. I
You
always
never
regret
played
that.
even the piano?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no. It was
So-
lethargic.
But
Tracy-
also, I think it's very imperative to also mention that they're social activists. Not only do we go to Springfield to advocate, but we also go to Washington to advocate for sensible gun control. My children are also on the parish council with our church, the Faith Community of St. Sabina, two of the youngest members, as well as they sing in the choir, Selah, the youth choir, which we have performed all over the city of Chicago, from the Gospel Fest to ribbon cutting ceremonies with the city, and also their altar service. So they know the meaning of service.
I believe you, but Saint Sabina and Cardinal Supich. I mean, it's the Catholic school system, the great beneficiary of the tax credit scholarship program when it was in force. What's your assessment of how Flager, for example, and Supich, for example, fought for or didn't fight hard enough for the scholarship program?
We all fought for the program.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone fought for the program. There are certain times when you have restrictions about what you can say because you're supposed to be biased. But it does not take away your fundamental right to hold your own truth.
Are you upset with the Democratic Party that did this to you and to the 25,000 kids that are on the waiting list?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We had more Republicans that were for the program than we had Democrats, and I'm trying to figure out why, because it is there to serve the underserved black and brown people of our community.
Well, what do you hear? You're in CPS, right? You're a substitute teacher in CPS?
I'm an open sub.
Opens up, but have you ever subbed in
anywhere, any school system?
But,
in fact, I've often spoken with Kids Choice when they were trying to get a balanced balanced school board, where they wanted partially elected and partially appointed.
Right.
So my whole issue is I don't want to label, because my label is I'm pro-children.
Yeah, that's
what are their choices?
Fine.
Where would they best fit? What's the best choice for their family?
I agree. I despise both parties too.
Not being able to drop my kids off in the morning on a TART. They were dropped off at a school that had before and after care, where I wasn't rushing and trying to say, where are you? Where are you going? Have you gotten to your next place? For safe passage.
Yeah, but
and then when they got there, it was more education and, for instance, problem conflict resolutions. What they learned when they were at St. Sabina, they had a law firm that came in to teach them about proactively diffusing volatile situations. Having all of these tools is what each child needs to see what school and what community of that school would best fit them.
I agree. But you've been in the Chicago public school system, right, as a teacher?
Yeah.
So what do you hear from them about the school? Your colleagues, other teachers about school choice?
Really, most of them have children that go to a private school.
Well, I know.
Yeah, right. So they may not qualify for the tax credit scholarship, but they send their kids there. So what message are we sending? What we're sending is that we should have a choice in education. What we're saying is education it is a right, and it should be rightfully funded. What we're saying is our legislators need to hear the voices of the people that they're supposed to represent and make the right choices in the rules. To pass a House bill that will open back the tax credit scholarship to better serve our community for equity.
Tracy Smith, substitute teacher, mother of twin boys. You heard from them, Christopher and Alexander. Tracy, thanks so much for joining us. Christopher and Alexander, thank you as well. Best of luck in college and beyond. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Keep up the great work. And they joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where